What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tej pack. Tej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun. And a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tej Henley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tej Henley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tej Henley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tej Henley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't. I'm already muted. See, this is why I was about to go down to the office. I'm not frozen. I was muted. I'm frozen. Let me see if I'm frozen. I'm frozen. Let me see. YouTube, Anton Daniels. I'm not frozen no more, am I? I'm frozen. All right, am I back? Am I back? Am I good? Am I back in the mix? Is everything good yet? Is everything good? Let me make sure we good before we get started with the show. Woo-wee! Woo-wee! Am I back? This is why this has to be an interactive show. All right, so let's start back over from the beginning. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. We are back now. Let me tell you something, bro. Just like how my screen was frozen, just like how I was muted, I went outside today because I was going to head over into the studio. What up, Q? We got Q in the building. We're going to do housekeeping shortly. I went outside because I was going to head to the studio this morning. And I went and got in that car, and I actually drove to the gas station. I put gas in the car because I was jumping in the Hyundai. Man, I turned right on back home, and I came back. That's what I was gonna. That's what I was gonna originally tell y'all. I came right on back home. I was talking cute. I was talking mess. I came right on back home, man, because it's a banking holiday, and so I don't have to necessarily. I always try to separate work from the crib, even though I still got to do a lot of work at the crib. And I leave my corporate computer down at the studio, but I'm really, really productive down there. And so instead of going down there and live streaming and working, even though I don't have to tap into corporate America, I said, let me come on back home. Let me come on back home, man. It is cold, and I'm used to the cold. And it is cold. It's cold across the entire United States of America. But we going to get there. Hey, for everybody that tuned in, for everybody that rewatched, because I uploaded this morning the Patreon live stream from last night. So last night, we did our very first stock club. And I must say so myself, it was absolutely awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Shout out to everybody that tuned in to Stock Club yesterday. If you did not get your pen and pad out, if you did not rewatch it, because I promised, I did upload the recording this morning for you guys to be able to tap in and watch it. It was lit. It was absolutely lit. So I invite you guys to tap into the Patreon. A link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. It was dope. It was a really good opportunity for me to pour into the people, for me to talk about stocks, what was in my portfolio, how I look to invest in certain companies. And I'm bringing you guys along so that we're all on the same page. It's some people that's a little bit more advanced than other people. It's others maybe not so much so. Maybe others that it's their first time to really start to deep dive into what they would want their investment portfolio to look like. And so with that in mind, my goal is to educate everybody, but then to teach you how to fish, not just give you a fish. Last month, we did an Invest in Your Business series where I basically funded a whole lot of people's businesses or for them to be able to get their businesses started, to get them going. And then we started Stock Club this month, so we're going to be doing that twice a month. And the next one, I believe, should be the 28th. We might push it a week because I know the Fed is going to be adjusting interest rates or whatever. But the next one we're scheduled to do is the 28th, another Sunday. If you're not a part of the Patreon, if you did not do Stock Club, if you did not watch that video, you need to go back and watch that. It is a great video. We live streamed it. I took questions. I interacted with the chat, and we broke down every single thing and why we invested in what we invested in, and why you need to invest in certain assets in order to continue to get rich and grow your portfolio. So we don't just talk about it, we're really about it. We looked at the charts. We looked at the year-over-year growth for certain companies that's in my portfolio. Some of them was in a negative, more was in a positive. And then we went from there, right? We talked about the Magnificent Seven, talked about the 8 things that I look for when I invest in a company. And so it was awesome. If you guys haven't watched that video, go back into the Patreon or join the Patreon. The link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat, and run it up. Also, on top of that, tap into that Tej Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Thank you, Tej. We appreciate you for holding us down. We got the Q show. Hey, Q, she going to be back. She took a 2-week hiatus on us. We held it down, but it's never anything like when she's there. So we really appreciate Q for her contributions, for her work. Even when she wasn't there, she was still working behind the scenes. She was doing recruiting. She was getting people set up. She was sending out stuff. She was taking care of business. So we appreciate everybody that's a part of the team. Shout out to my dog, No Captivity with Freezy. Let me get some of these super chats and this Cash App out of the way, and then we're going to get it popping with the show. First and foremost, I want to give a round of applause to my guy, Mike That Dude. Thank you, Mike That Dude on Cash App. I absolutely appreciate you and everybody that contributes into the platform. Also on top of that, CJ. CJ said, how's it going, Anton? It was good talking to you last night on Stock Club. Shout out to CJ. CJ has some really good questions. Do you have any coaching calls available soon? Let me address that. So y'all need to check y'all emails. One of the things that y'all gonna have to start tapping into is you're gonna have to learn how to do business properly. A lot of people do not know how to do business properly and they do not check their emails. I do business through email. I don't do business through DMs. I don't do business through the comments. If you got somebody that's faking like they me or something like that, I don't do business on WhatsApp or any of those, anything outside of email. Email is a digital signature. It's a digital documentation, so you can track back and forth exactly how it is that you've interacted with whoever your potential clients are. When y'all look to do business through email. Get a proper email setup, right? This isn't directed to you, CJ. I'm just speaking of this. Get a proper email. Don't do hotgirlcity19 at yahoo.com. Stop doing I was for the streets in 2002 at hotmail.com. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. We got to get professional. We got to take care of business. We got to be a good representation of us. Some of y'all wondering why y'all not getting no calls back when y'all send out a resume, but it's coming from I was too good for you back in 1996 at gmail.com. Come on, man. We all got to learn how to do business correctly. So check your emails. I have been sending out emails to people that was on the waiting list as you guys send me information, and check your emails. Don't come back to me and say, oh, Anton, I just seen this a month later. No, check your emails. People that are sending us emails, we are responding to you, and we are putting you on a list, and we getting you set up as we get openings for coaching calls. So yes, send me an email at antondaniels413@gmail.com, and I'm gonna make sure that you guys get your coaching calls. All right, keep sending me those emails along with sending me the articles and the information so we can continue to do this work. Messy mathematician in the building says Martin Luther King says keep the gray. Yeah, I've been holding on to this gray. I'm sorry, Messy. I might have to get it gone by tonight. We gonna see. Because you know what? The more gray that I have, the more of these single baby mamas keep on sending me DMs. I got more women. And what's up with these women over 35? All of a sudden, all of my DMs just because y'all see the gray. That's that Tej Hanley. That's that Tej pack. Shout out to my girl Messy. It might be because everybody think I was getting a divorce, right? AL says coast to coast is an Arctic freeze today. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Global Chef is in the building. Thank you, AL. Global Chef says it's 70 here in Honolulu. God, oh, I got to get. If I move anywhere after I retire 8-9 years from now, you'll see me in Hawaii. That's a fact. And that's going to be my next vacation destination, too. Shout out to Honolulu. Good God. Me, Oprah, The Rock, and Mark Zuckerberg. We all going to be hanging out in the Honolulu Blue. Speaking of Honolulu Blue, let's go ahead and get started with the show, y'all. Y'all ready to get started with the show? Listen, make sure y'all tune into the Q show tonight. It's going to be awesome as usual. You might see me get into with somebody else like we did with 19. Shout out to 1950. That's my guy. We be talking all the time. You might see me get into with another person. You never know what's going to happen. But the one thing is for sure and two things is for certain. You know I'm going to show up. All right? All right, y'all. Let's get to it. Y'all ready to get started with the show? I got a good show for y'all. Today. Let's get it popping. Quick hits, ladies and gentlemen. Segment of the show. It's 79 in Miami? Good God, Trap and Slay. The segment of the show that we don't think it necessarily needs an entire dedication as far as each individual segment having its own segment in itself, but we want to keep you guys with what's going on up to date throughout the society and throughout history. So, first and foremost, I do not have a picture up here. All right, here we go. First and foremost, the Lions. So the Lions win their first playoff game in 30 years. Never mind the fact that this comes right on the heels of University of Michigan winning a national championship and going absolutely undefeated. But the Lions won their first playoff game last night. It was lit in the city. It was absolutely fire. For real.
Hey, back here at home, guys.
Yeah.
So look, we got the winner of Tampa and Philly, which is tomorrow. We'll be here at 3 o'clock back at Ford Field because you got earned it. Dude, how electric was it out there? I'm telling you what, it doesn't get any better. It's everything you dream of and then more. All right, that's outstanding work. I got 2 game balls. All right, number one, listen, when you come in 3 years ago, like me and this guy did, and you had a vision and you start working together and you've got an idea how you want to build it and the type of players you're looking for and how you want to go top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams, and you're in fucking lockstep. You're in fucking lockstep. I'm telling you guys, it's a shitty business. It ain't always perfect, but we do a pretty good job, baby. Right? But without this fucking guy right here, man, Brad Holmes.
And guess what? That wasn't even a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire. It was just a hire because he was a great addition to the team. So I want to give a round of applause and a shout out to my guys over at the Detroit Lions. The city was electric, absolutely cold and all. It was on fire last night, and it was absolutely awesome. So shout out to the Detroit Lions. We really waiting on the Pistons to get themselves together because it seems like every other team is trending in the right direction. We are a sports town. All of our stadiums and all of our teams is in downtown Detroit. The city is on fire. It is popping. It is growing. It is absolutely awesome. And so I want to give a shout out to the Lions for winning a playoff game, and we're going to be right back there next week because we hosting another playoff game right here in Detroit in the city, and it was absolutely awesome. So shout out to the Lions. In addition to that, there is an Arctic blast that is happening across the United States of America. Y'all got to bundle up. Y'all got to make sure that y'all straight. Let me see something. I done messed up already and got rid of what I wanted to show. Let me see something real quick. Yes. Here we go. All right, here we go. We coming. I got to make sure that I get this right. Yeah, it's an Arctic blast that's happening across the United States, even in the South. In parts of the South, it's an Arctic blast also. Check it out, y'all.
Waking up this morning facing potentially life-threatening cold, the Arctic chill hitting the plains to the Midwest, even parts of the South, seeing wind chills below zero. Alex Perez is in frigid Chicago. I don't have to tell you, what is it, minus 31 with the wind chill right now?
Yeah, Robin, this brutal deep freeze moving in over the weekend. The air.
I'm sorry, did they say minus 31 with the wind chill? Jesus. In Chicago? Minus 10, minus 30 with the wind chill?
Is so cold you can probably see some.
Shout out to all of my migrants.
Some of the steam rising from the buildings behind me here. This Arctic cold can be very dangerous.
This morning, nearly the entire continental U.S. engulfed by Arctic air and winter storms. Whiteout conditions pummeling Buffalo. Overnight, residents seen desperately digging out cars. New York Governor Kathy Hochul declaring a state of emergency. A travel ban extended into some areas after scenes like this. This video inside Highmark Stadium showing what kickoff conditions would have looked like if the Bills-Steelers wildcard game had not been postponed.
The snow bands are staying longer, they're broader, and also we're now seeing in real time 4 to 5, possibly 6 inches an hour in the South towns in particular.
Up to 2 feet of snow already on the ground, fans answering the call to come help shovel out the stadium ahead of today's reschedule.
Look at these fools. See? And then right after that, see, they think that that's cute. And then right after that, they're going to be complaining, talking about I got frostbite and my stomach hurt and something is wrong. I want to sue the stadium. Yeah, you can count on these crazy fans to continue to lean into their foolishness. What is wrong with that dude? Buffalo, New York is one of the coldest places in the entire United States of America. It's like Antarctica up there compared to other places. But, yep, absolutely bad. Absolutely. Make sure that y'all stay warm. Be careful. Do not turn your heat off even if you ain't got no money. If you're a bag chaser, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. That means that we're going to be inside tonight and we're going to be having a good time on the Q show, and so that's awesome. Last but not least, I didn't even want to report this, but I think it's important, and I'm not even going to show a video relative to it. But Lil Nas X. So Lil Nas X recently dropped a new video called Jesus Christ or J Christ. And it's being called by MSNBC the evolution of an artist challenging the limits of what is called art by some and blasphemy by others. Goes on to say Lil Nas X is brilliant at skewering the twisted realities of Americans' religions. J Christ, his new music video is no exception. Dressed as a femme. This is what's in the video. I have not watched it. I refuse to watch it. Dressed as a femme, F-E-M-M-E, Jesus wearing high-heeled boots and a flowing mane and waving at a moonwalking Michael Jackson. Lil Nas X takes the viewer through biblical scenes that only he could imagine. Conservative Christians were quick to condemn it. So apparently he dropped another video, and it's pure disrespect. It's blasphemy. It's pure disrespect. Obviously, he still has a lot of supporters. Think about this, y'all. Who would have thought that a young guy who everybody thought was just innocent as far as his Old Town Road and everybody was dancing to it and stuff would grow into becoming a monster? Would literally grow into becoming a monster. And this is why I tell y'all that fame and money does not make you a better person. It does not fix your issues. What it does is it makes you more of who you already are. And the worst part about fame and money, if you do not have character, good character, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to go with it, if you are not grounded, if you don't have some level of humility when it comes to your relationship with Christ or God or whatever it is that you believe in, you then lead a bunch of other people because they feel validated by your blasphemous ways. And then you feel comfortable leading everybody else off a cliff. So I just wanted to make you guys aware, because for whatever reason, we talk about everything else in popular culture, but we don't address the things that's the really worst for us. And I'm telling you, what culture is not what your history is. History is history. Culture is culture. Culture is whatever it is that is the most popular and that you celebrate the most. Whatever is normalized within your life, right? Canadian culture is very similar to what's happening in United States and Western culture here in the United States of America and nationally, meaning that your culture is ever evolving. And the reason why the culture is trash is because the things that we celebrate, refuse to address, do not hold accountable, is the worst things for us. And it's y'all fault. And when I say y'all, I'm not talking about the chasers, the people that's watching this platform in particular. It's people that continue to let this get away. And when they say that the more quiet you are to the atrocities that's happening in this world, trying to just make sure you play it safe, the worse things become because the more loud they become. I'm telling you. It's absolute trash. Absolute trash. Is one thing, see, even if I don't necessarily disagree with you, I'm not going to sit here and disrespect it. You know what I'm saying? I could say that I respectfully disagree. We can even joke about it because everybody catch jokes. Everybody get jokes. But it's one thing to blatantly disrespect. It's practically like spitting in somebody else's face and say, I dare you to say something. And that's what we see happening today. So I'm not going to play the video. I'm not going to play no snippets. I'm not going to play any of that because I don't want to promote it. But I just wanted to bring it to y'all attention of what's happening out here in these streets, because it's important for us to recognize and pay attention to when demons is operating right in front of your face. And they saying, and they just having that conversation. So, yeah, that's your quick hits, ladies and gentlemen. That is your quick hits. Good God. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to get it popping with the show, because I got a whole show, obviously, for you guys. Evolved CA says, shout out to the Chasers. It looking like the biggest decision of my life up to this point. Weighing my options, but I'm leaning towards going. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, Evolved CA. Thank you, my friend, for holding me down. Bitcoin Brown is in the building, says, I got to be honest, Michigan showing out this year in football. You guys deserve a Super Bowl spot time. You bought that new spot at the perfect time. And we got the draft here in April. So I might have to lease that out. You know what I'm saying? Over that next week for the new visitors that's coming in town. New penthouse opening. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful. We're going to go ahead and get it furnished, too. What up, Khalil says, I wish they would stop putting reporters out there in the cold. Hey, no, we need you out there. We want y'all to do your job. Don't just sit in there. Go out there and do your job. Mecca D. Ebor says, what up, though? It's freezing out here in the city, but I'm still out here getting to the bag. Shout out to the Chasers. Oh, you an overhead lineman. Shout out to the men that do the hard work that women are not even available for. I know what linemen go through. I got a cousin that's a lineman. For your utility company, been working a double since Friday. Y'all need lights. And here's the thing, and they get to a bag. Shout out to my 9-to-5ers. Shout out to my linemen. Shout out to the people that's running it up. I appreciate you. JB in the building says, I told you, AD, that Nas video is diabolical. I won't hear it. I won't give him any views. Mr. Lone Star says the irony is his father writes gospel music. Disrespectful. All right, y'all ready to get into the show? Let me preview this show, or let me preface this show by saying that we will be addressing several issues, some you're familiar with and some maybe you're not so much familiar with. We're going to get into the private lending on the money side, but that's towards the end of the show. I want to address Richard Fain. Yeah. Remember when y'all kept saying, Anton, don't be a bully. Anton, don't go after Richard. Oh, what did he do? And then I told y'all, I said, listen, I didn't start this. This is what he had a conversation about. He felt comfortable going. But he continues to pop up on my radar, and people are sending me content and saying, hey, listen, Rich threw another shot at you. Richard threw another shot at you. So I don't know if he threw a shot or not. I have not watched the video yet, but I could tell by the title that it was something in reference to something that I said or something that EYL said or Ian Dunlap. So don't sit here and try to hold me accountable when I address it, because all I'm doing is responding. I'm not initiating. I'm responding. I have no clue and no idea why he continued. I don't know what is wrong with this man. But we're going to get there. So we got Richard Fain. We're going to go and address the Fulton County DA, the Georgia DA down there. Her name is Fani Willis, I think. We're going to address that. She responded. She went to church and decided to respond. We got a lot of stuff to go over. So I hope y'all buckled up. And I hope y'all ready to get it popping. Q, you missed a lot. You missed a lot over these last 2 weeks. Y'all ready to get started with the show? All right, let me bring y'all up to date on the crime that's happening across the United States of America, because I want to make sure that you guys stay filled in and that you stand safe. Of course, we're going to start over in Chicago. Shout out to Chi-Town. And it's not that I want to pick on Chicago today. It's more about the fact that there's a trend that's happening in Chicago. And so if you are a gig worker in Chicago, be very, very careful.
Breaking news now, a delivery driver shot in West Humboldt Park. As we track an increase in violence that's targeting rideshare and delivery drivers across Chicago.
CBS 2's Tara Molina sat down with the group warning drivers about the spike. She is live in the loop with the latest. Tara, how's that man doing today?
Jim and Marie, thankfully, we're told that delivery driver is doing okay and he's expected to recover. But with more and more of these violent incidents being reported, the group that represents these rideshare drivers tells me people are leaving the job. This is where a 38-year-old delivery driver was shot Wednesday night in Humboldt Park. Police say he was approached by 3 men. One shot at him as he got into his car, grazing his back.
I throw my hands up in the air. I'm in disgust, and I'm like, it's another day, it's another driver.
Lenny Sanchez leads the Illinois chapter of the Independent Drivers Guild.
What we believe is going on is that we're being targeted.
Chicago police recently warning about 7 armed robberies targeting rideshare drivers, with 3 rideshare drivers killed in Chicago since November, another critically injured.
We had to create something to bring awareness.
Sanchez says they've started distributing this warning to drivers because of the spike in violence, a lot of it on the city's west side.
Drivers that are deciding to no longer work evenings or certain neighborhoods.
Crime data involving or targeting rideshare and delivery drivers is not readily available, but this organization says it's worse, and they're working with CPD to target the violence. Violence, Sanchez tells me, will ultimately impact more than just rideshare and delivery drivers.
Drivers in the community and in our chats that have just decided to hang up their boots. They're no longer going to go out there and do this job anymore. The fear factor has completely outweighed the reward, so they're no longer going to take the risk.
So, a couple things that we need to take from this, okay? The first thing that I want you to take from this is that one of the reasons why I'm bringing this to your attention is that when you see a trend similar to when we started to spot the trend when it came even to the migrant crisis or what's happening as far as retail theft, when you spot a trend, you bring awareness to it in order to make sure that you protect your loved ones. Now, some of y'all, a lot of y'all are actually in Chicago, in the Chicago area. Maybe you got relatives. It's a lot of people that like to hustle. I encourage people to be a part of the hustle culture. You know, if you got additional time and you're not doing nothing, you're not spending no time with any family member, go out, go make a couple of extra dollars rather than sitting there playing video games or, you know, being in with a food demon on your back, a snack demon on your back, and you're sitting around the house just snacking and keep going back and forth into the refrigerator. Go do something productive and pay off some debt, right? But if they are targeting gig workers, Uber drivers, Lyft, DoorDash, and you see about at least 9 shots on the ground. Let me pull it up. If you see this on the ground and you are a gig worker, you see all of those? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 shots at least. 10 shots at least. That's a problem. Which brings me to my second point. How long are you guys going to complain that it's systematic against you and that you don't have access to the same services as those that are in civilized communities have? Meaning, if you have a food desert because nobody wants to open up a grocery store in your neighborhood, it's not that it's anything wrong with the infrastructure or the fact that people don't want to invest in your neighborhood. People are going to go where the money is. If I see an opportunity to make money over there while at the same time providing a service, why wouldn't I open up a grocery store? Why wouldn't I have drive, share, and rider services over in your neighborhood? But when you start to experience food deserts and nobody wants to do pickup or delivery, you can't get no Instacart, you can't get no Grubhub, no DoorDash, no Uber Eats, you can't get a cab. Remember when they used to say cabs was discriminated against black people? It wasn't that they hated black people. It was that there was a trend going on within the black community or what their experience was with them that then gave them more information as to whether or not they should make an informed decision to risk their life just because you think that you're being unfairly stereotyped. Stereotypes come from places. When people say, well, I don't want to serve you, right? I don't want to go over to your table. We going to argue in the back over who get that section because we got this big old group of black women over here. And historically, what servers have told me is that they hate serving large groups of black women or black women at 2 or 3, where 2 or 3 are gathered of black women together or a family of black people because they're less likely to tip. You can't sit here and say, well, they should serve me anyway. They're going to do what's in their best interest. They're going to protect their pockets. They're going to protect their lives. They're going to make sure that they get home to their family safely. And so y'all keep asking for people to do things that you won't even do for your own community. And you got to get the beam out of your own eye. But more importantly, if you are a gig worker in Chicago, if you are a person that's walking down the street, if you just so happen to be breathing in Chicago and have a pulse, it's a strong possibility and a high probability that you are going to get yourself into something that's not going to be conducive for you. So be very, very careful in Chicago. Let's go over to the next city, ladies and gentlemen, because it's crime happening all across the United States of America.
Investigators here with the West Palm Beach Police Department tell me they use security cameras to identify and track down their suspects in just a matter of hours. The victim's father was in court with those suspects on Wednesday morning, and he says all he wants to know is why they had to kill his son.
Make sure y'all keep the likes up. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. It's going to become a really great show today.
Just trying to make a honest living, take care of my 2 grandkids, and it really, really hurts.
Tommy Anderson Jr. says his son, Tommy Anderson III, was on just his 2nd day delivering pizzas for Domino's, a second job to make more money to care for his young sons. Tommy was shot and killed near the intersection of Douglas Avenue and 9th Street in West Palm Beach just moments after a delivery.
Nobody couldn't believe it, you know? You take a person's life, you don't have no money or nothing. What Domino's Pizza have money? He was just trying to make ends meet.
Police say these are the 3 people responsible, that they were driving around just looking for someone to rob. They saw.
I want you to look at the suspects. It's a pattern here. No, it's not that we're reporting only the things that happen in the worst of communities. Look, when I look for crime, when I'm trying to understand what's happening across the United States of America, because we went from Chicago over to West Palm Beach, and the culprits look the same. They look the same. There's a pattern. There's a stereotype. Don't tell me not to lock my doors when I see imminent danger. That man was on his 2nd day delivering pizza so he can make some extra money to make sure that he was taking care of his family. He was doing the right thing. He was taking care of business. He was doing it legally. He wasn't out here jugging. He wasn't out here trapping. He wasn't bothering nobody. He wasn't trying to do anything illegally. He was taking care of his business. He got a 2nd job in order to deliver pizzas on his 2nd day on the job. These fools is riding around in West Palm Beach looking for somebody to rob, and they wind up killing this man. And delivery drivers don't even be having no money. They don't even be having no money. Y'all gonna hold me accountable for pointing it out, or you gonna hold the culprits accountable for being the ones that's out here committing the crimes and creating havoc and danger? And at the very least, at least we got some parity in here. At least we also getting some diversity, equity, and inclusion as far as the women now participating. It ain't even just guys no more. Women is out here jugging. They out here setting dudes up. They out here robbing. They out here taking lives. It's ugly. It's very, very ugly in these streets, and it's very unprofessional. It's unbecoming of a woman to be out here hanging around with hoodlums, getting yourself into a situation. But don't worry about it. We're going to go ahead and go over to the next thing.
A shooting in East Las Vegas leaves 1 man dead, and police say it was his girlfriend's son who did it. This happened just after 11 this morning at the Playa Vista apartment complex. That's where we find 8 News Now reporter Madison Kimbrough with more.
A very unfortunate situation happening this morning as a domestic dispute turned deadly here at the Playa Vista apartments. Now, Metro Police stating that a man in his 50s was in a verbal dispute with his girlfriend in their apartment. The girlfriend's son, who was also at the apartment and lived there, intervened, and the argument then became physical, with the girlfriend's son shooting and killing the man in the end. Now, family confirming to us that their brother, 55-year-old Norzel Ross Jr., was the man shot and killed. His brother-in-law completely devastated.
What? Just so happened to be another couple that look like us. One dead, one possibly going to jail, and a woman is going to be walking away and living her absolute best life. Boyfriend and girlfriend in their 50s. A 53-year-old man going back and forth with a woman that's his girlfriend. Her son, that ain't his son, he trying to be a step baby daddy, pulled out a pistol and took him out. 2 more men. Gone. That's it. 2 more. Arguing in a domestic dispute. One of them trying to talk to a single baby mama. How much more of the culture do we have to actually show you before y'all keep and stop talking about how it is that y'all so great and y'all kings and queens? How long y'all gonna call yourselves kings and queens before addressing the problems and the issues within your own communities? I'm just wondering.
My brother, he was the only one that was close to me out of the in-laws. So I'm missing something here, and I can't get it back.
Metro Police confirming that the shooter, the girlfriend's son, turned himself in, and the son and girlfriend are currently in custody. Now, family members telling me that Norzell Ross Jr. had been with this woman for decades, and during their 10-year run, it had always been a tumultuous relationship, so this is something they were not surprised at, but still extremely shaken up and devastated at these events.
They had been together for decades as boyfriend and girlfriend, sitting in a tree. Kissing, which means that this boy, obviously he had played a father figure role in this boy's life to some capacity, because if they've been together for decades and he's known this boy, this son, her son, and then the son is pulling out a pistol and taking his life, and now he got to go possibly to jail for the rest of his life, depending on whether or not they decide to charge him or not. The culture is absolute trash. It's absolute trash. I cannot stress to y'all enough how important it is to make sure that you only align yourself with people that's going in the direction that you're going in. And you might have outgrown your environment. You might have outgrown your circumstances. Now that you have more information, you may have to move a little bit differently and get a different circle. It's not okay for you to continue to try to keep it real with people that's not going in the direction that you're going in. It's okay for you to grow. It's okay for you to let the culture go. It's okay for you to get another part of the culture that you like and actually adopt that as a part of your regular life. It's okay for you to be better. It's okay for you to let go of toxicity, for you to not argue until you dead. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. So that is what's happening as we continue to populate the jails and the graveyards across the United States of America and not do the thing that's in our own best interest. Welcome. Welcome to 2024. Let me read a couple of super chats and then we're going to go from there. Pookie's friend Ray Ray is in the building. Shout out to Pookie's friend Ray Ray. Says Uber drivers need hazard pay like bulletproof vests. Independent contractors, baby. Independent contractors. Ain't no more hiring. Everybody is on their own now. Steven Slayer 1 says, funny how ever since the Black Lives Matter movement and defund the police, cities with large amounts of minorities are like hell on earth. We all see it. We just acting like we turning a blind eye to it. It ain't nothing new. We've been seeing this since we was young. Sam Miami Sam says, I have a dream that everyone watching can get the likes of. Shout out to Sam. Sam is in the building. I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you for holding us down. Let's move forward. So obviously, I want to keep you guys up to date of what's going on with the migrant crisis, because that is very, very important for what's happening throughout the United States of America. And the face of the migrant crisis is CamCam. Let me say that one more time. The new face of the migrant crisis, because I want to shoot Biden a little bit of bail, all right? And the reason why I want to shoot Biden a little bit of bail is not because Biden is doing such a good job. Yes, he was caught on a hot mic giving his thoughts on what he thought about the migrant crisis, and we're going to go over there. But CamCam is the border czar. And I want to make sure that y'all understand that the face of the migrant crisis is the woman that is in the highest position of all women in the land as far as the AKA. See, y'all didn't know I knew that, did y'all? Y'all didn't know I knew that, did y'all? Y'all didn't know that I knew that it was Founders Day for the AKAs, did y'all? And CamCam, Kamala Harris, is an AKA. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I heard that the AKAs is even letting what you would describe or what they want to be described as women that were born as biological men. Now, I can't substantiate this. I've seen it come through my email. Several different people tagged me in a post on Instagram that I have not had the opportunity to check out yet. But what I did hear, and I have to do my research, because I'm never going to give you accusations. I'm going to either base it off of what these actual people are saying or the evidence. So I got to do a little bit of research before I do a whole segment on it, all right? But I heard that these sororities, such as the AKAs, are now letting in People who now identify themselves as women but was born as biological men. Happy Founders Day. Let's go ahead and get into it. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. If you have not tapped into the Patreon yet, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. First, I want to get into Mexico. Mexico is now making demands from the United States of America as far as what they want in order to continue to participate in preventing migrants from coming over to the United States of America. This is unreal.
So in an interesting turn of play, Mexico is now making some big demands of the U.S. in exchange for helping to stop the record surge of migrants at our southern border. President López Obrador has a wish list that includes $20 billion he wants for Latin America and Caribbean countries in order to help tame this flood at our border. He wants us to give them $20 billion. He also is requesting that 10 million Hispanic residents who've been in the United States for more than 10 years, that all sanctions would be removed against 10 million people. He also wants sanctions lifted against Venezuela and a suspension of the U.S. blockade.
Let's stop here for a second. When did we become so weak as a country to where you can make demands from a... See, this is what happens when you start letting the inmates run the insane asylum. This is what happens when you start telling your kids that you their friend instead of telling them you their parent. This is what happens when you start advocating for equal across the board with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then everybody feel like they can make demands of you. This is what happens when you don't exert power. See, the one thing that you can criticize the United States of America for a lot of things. And it's funny because I was watching a documentary and I was watching Elon Musk, I believe, and he was giving a narrative in a video and a clip. And he was saying that, you know what's so interesting about the United States of America when they first came into nuclear power and they dominated, especially when it comes to World War II and stuff like that, that they had the ability to basically take over any country that they wanted to at the time. And instead, what they don't get credit for is helping to rebuild over in Europe, helping to rebuild over in Germany, helping to rebuild over in Japan. All of these places, even though they were at war, when the war was over, we don't get enough credit for exerting power. And so what happened was eventually people grow to see you as weak. And now, for the migrant crisis, you see Mexico having a proposal. Harpo, who is this? You got a proposal? Check out this proposal. They said, listen, we want 20 billion. Not million, billion. You know how they say 100,000 is the new 10,000 and a million is really the new 100,000? I was watching a lot of people talk about that over the weekend. They said we want $20 billion, punk. And we want you to grant visas to at least 10 million Hispanics who have illegally, they didn't add that word in there, but let me be absolutely correct, illegally worked in the United States of America for at least 10 years. Ooh, listen. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. I'm just stating to you what they're requiring. They're also saying, listen, and you better end sanctions against Venezuela. And you better halt the blockade of Cuba. And you better do it. Yo, when can we get Denzel the Equalizer out there? I was watching the Equalizer 3 last night on Netflix after I got done watching the Lions game on TV. I was not out in these streets. It was a little too cold for Anton's blood. But in what world do we live in where the United States is not even looked at as a superpower anymore, mainly because of the leadership that we have and the negotiations that we continue to have exerted against us, to where you will now have the Mexican president saying that we shaking you down and we want everything inside of your pockets in order for us to even participate in doing the right thing. Meanwhile, as Joe Biden was arriving and getting off of a plane, they're saying that there's a potential U.S. border migrant plan that was leaked to the public. But then we caught Joe Biden on a hot mic talking to reporters as far as what he thought was happening with the whole migrant crisis. Check it out. Let's back up for a minute, because it was very difficult to hear the audio. But now we have AI and we have auto captions to make sure that we capture all of this conversation. And I'm going to read it to you. The question from the reporter, they said, is the situation on the southern border a crisis? They asked your president, leader of the free world. They say, is the situation on the southern border a crisis? He goes on to say, no, but I wish they would react. Now, in the same way that I hold the black community accountable as far as black culture being trash, and then I say, hey, why do people continue to do this? And why is this the norm amongst our people? And he'll say, well, they are holding us down. Who the hell is they? Who is they? And where they at? Is it the Wizard of Oz? I thought that they were you. Who are they? No, but I wish that they would react. Now, if I'm not mistaken, one of the things that divide liberals from conservatives, largely amongst most, because we know that there's extreme conservatism, there's extreme liberals. I don't like extreme of anything. That means that they're unwilling to budge or negotiate, and that they're radical. I don't like radicals, because radicals can be bad, and even God himself say have temperance in everything that you do. But we all know that conservatives, largely across the board, stand for closed borders. As a matter of fact, I'll go even as far as to say we know that Joe Biden stands for it, because just last week I played for you a viral clip that was unearthed from 2007 during the campaign trail where he was talking to potential voters, and he was saying that no country in the world is ever safe or can be considered a civilized country if they do not protect their borders. If they do not protect their borders. Now, this was a younger Joe Biden. Yep, about 15 years ago, something like that, 15, 16 years ago. And he was doing it back when Obama's hair was black, was a lot darker than what my beard is right now. Don't worry, we're going to fix that. But he said, no, it is not a crisis, but I wish they would react. Now, one of the things that Republicans, he says no, and I wish they would react, because I've been pushing my Republican colleagues since they got in office. Now, Biden is the one that said on a hot mic, I'm not building and I'm not supporting building another inch of border wall while I'm in office, not the day since I got here. And I will tell you one thing about Biden is he keeps his word. He is absolutely he is keeping up that promise. He is holding it down as far as what he said. He said that he gonna do it, and he did it. He said, I'm not building another inch. I'm not gonna dedicate another penny to securing our borders. I don't care how many migrants come into your city. I don't care how messed up Denver is. I don't care how tore down Chicago is. I don't care how in flux and what the budget is looking like over in New York. I don't care what's going on over there with Karen Bass in LA. I can care less about what's happening over in Atlanta. And I for sure don't care about what's happening in Texas, Arizona, Florida, Louisiana, and so on. I do not care. But what I am going to fight for is dollars to make sure that we support Zelensky over in Ukraine. We got to make sure that we fight for Taiwan, because we got semiconductor chips that we got to secure over there. We're definitely going to fight for making sure that we fund what's going on over in Israel, right? And if a politician can just blatantly in the social media era sit here and talk to you guys like you are idiots, as though we can't actually see. Like, at least tell us you finesse. Like, tell me, listen, I don't really want to talk about it because, you know, it's a lot going on. If somebody says to me, listen, it's a lot going on right now, I just don't really feel like talking about it, I'm cool with that. I could rock with that. One of the problems with me and or you or me back in the earlier years of my relationship was, and the things that women say and men say a lot of times, is it's a lack of communication, because men believe that communication is much different than women. Men's version of communication is what they do. They speak through their actions. Women want you to talk to them. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you bridge that gap? Well, usually what will happen is you'll do something, the woman will get mad at you, you'll give her some insight as to why you do it, and then she'll understand, and then this is the conclusion, right? This is the recap. We do recaps inside of corporate America, right? So we'll recap and she'll say, well, listen, I don't mind if you're going out here and doing this and that, but I just didn't know if you were safe or not. So if you could at the very least just let me know that you're going to be in late versus just coming in late, I can rest easy. And that's where the compromise is, right? But if you just out here doing a bunch of different stuff and don't nobody know what you got going on, and she don't actually know where she fit into the plan, it's going to be difficult for her to be able to get on your plan and follow your vision, right? But if you could communicate it a little bit, listen, I got some stuff going on. I don't really feel like talking about it right now. My mind is all over the place. I need to gather myself. I need some time to myself. She'll understand. She'll be like, hey, I really want to be here for you, but I understand. Come kick it with me and let me know what's going on when you feel more comfortable. It's the communication. So if you communicate with us, Biden and Cam, and you say, well, listen, I'm going to stop lying to y'all. I'm going to stop finessing y'all and acting like I don't know what's going on and it's the Republicans' fault. And what I am going to say is, hey, listen, it's a lot going on behind the scenes. Maybe it's some national security things. It's some lobbyists that's in my pocket. I have no idea. It's some other stuff, and it's a lot of wrangling that's going on in the background. And so I can't tell y'all what our real agenda is right now, but it's something happening, and I'm hoping that it's going to work out for the best for the American people. I can go with that lie. I can, because any half-truth is a lie. I'm okay if you tell me that, listen, this is where I'm at. I may not be able to fulfill what it is that you think is best for the country right now, but I got some other stuff going on. But don't call me no fool. Don't sit here and spit in my face and act like I'm stupid. Don't tell me that I didn't see what you saw when you did it and then you don't want to add no context. We can figure it out, but you're not going to sit here and act like I didn't see what I saw. I see you walking out the door late at night. Where you going? Oh, I wasn't going nowhere. I was going to take out the trash. Bullshit. You're not going to lie to me to my face and tell me. You're not going to spit on me and tell me that it's raining. You're not going to piss on me and piss on my boots and tell me that it's raining outside. No, I smell piss. And this is what's happening. I'm going to go over, because, you know, we did a lot of Fox News. I want to go over to NBC News right now. I want to switch over to NBC because we got to get it from a different perspective. Now, one of the things that they're also complaining about is migrants are now allegedly drowning over in Texas because they are better securing and they're not letting federal agents come over and interfere with what's going on. They forcing the migrants to take responsibility for their own trek into the United States of America. Take a look.
Tonight, the drowning of 3 migrants, a woman and 2 children, escalating tensions between the White House and the state of Texas. The White House says Texas officials in Eagle Pass prevented Border Patrol agents from providing emergency assistance to the migrants by blocking agents' access to a city park with a boat ramp. The state had recently taken control of the park earlier this week.
I'd like to tell you what's going on here. As you can see, there's a gate here at Shelby Park. If you come down here, then they will be denying access.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott justifying his state's takeover to police the border.
Texas has the legal authority to control ingress and egress into any geographic location in the state of Texas, and that authority is being asserted with regard to that park in Eagle Pass, Texas.
The DOJ responding with a legal filing to the Supreme Court, stating without the boat ramp, Border Patrol has no practical options for responding to migrants who may be in distress. A White House spokesperson telling NBC News, Governor Abbott's political stunts are cruel, inhumane, and dangerous, adding U.S. Border Patrol must have access to the border to enforce our laws. This as negotiations in Washington over immigration continue. President Biden saying on Saturday we have to make major changes at the border. Yet the struggle for power between state and federal authorities remains, with U.S. Congressman Henry Cuellar calling the death of the migrants a tragedy, while the Texas Military Department, which is now controlling the park, issued a statement indicating they had a team searching the river the night of the incident, but no migrants were observed. Guad Venegas, NBC News.
So now what they're trying to do is they're trying to blame people who are trying to get over here illegally and crossing over, right? And they're placing responsibility on the federal government to rescue people from doing something that they shouldn't be doing in the first place. That's like me going over there and robbing somebody, and then you getting mad at the person that didn't stop me from robbing somebody. It's illegal for me to go over there and rob somebody. I shouldn't be over there in the first place. Now, in this particular instance, there was a woman and 2 kids that they're identifying. We have no way in being able to substantiate this, so we're just going to go based off of what it is that they say. Is there any responsibility on the woman for doing something illegally, or does the responsibility fall back on us over here in the United States of America in order to be more humane than they're being to us? Because by all means, I think that life is precious. But at what point do other people take responsibility for not doing something that they're not supposed to do and putting their kids in danger in the first place? But they're going to use this. And this is one of the tools that media use in order to manipulate you, in order to believe that you're supposed to have open borders and be doing something that you're not supposed to do in the first place. So shout out to Cam. Shout out to Biden. Shout out to Cam. Shout out to everybody that's a part of the Biden administration and every sanctuary city that's participating in the downfall of America and the upending of you and your own opportunities within the United States of America without any kind of insight information whatsoever, yet you voted them into office. You voted them into office. This is your fault. I'm laying this at the feet of you. This is your fault. Let me read a couple of super chats and then we're going to get on with the show because I want to go over to the Fulton County DA. Anton, a friend of mine, asked me to go with her to meet baby daddy exchange their child because he is abusive. I told her, you chose him, not my problem. Now we are not friends anymore. Oh, you don't need no friends like that. You're not that baby pappy. You are not that baby's pappy. It is not your responsibility to go over there. And if she get mad at you because you don't want to play stepdaddy and legal authority to go through the exchange, that is not your responsibility. You did the right thing. And you know why? Because you don't need no friends like that. So I'm supposed to protect you. What do I get in return? What do I get in return to protecting you? Because now you want me to play step baby daddy without any of the benefits to go along with it. Do I get something out of this? Listen, you did the right thing, Kofi. I support your decision. I 100% support your decision. A.R. Smitty is in the building, says the United Chumps of America. That's how they look at us. That's how they look at us. They don't look at us as cool no more. They look at us as suckers. Anyways, let's get into the fun part of the show. Y'all ready to get into the fun part of the show? All right. Shout out to our city girl, DA. I actually got this wrong. Give me a second. I got this wrong. I said Georgia DA. I should have said Fulton County. She in Georgia, so this works also. But let me bring y'all up to speed of what's happening with Fani Willis, all right? Fani Willis is the prosecuting attorney, or her office is the prosecution office, behind several high-profile cases, including Young Thug, to name one of them. Another, Trump, right? 91 charges against Trump. Another, Trump's co-defendant. Now, Trump's co-defendant said, I'm not laying down. I just want to bring you guys up to speed before I play the video. Trump's co-defendant said, I'm not laying down. I'm not about to sit here and play no games with y'all. I think that this lady is crooked. Something ain't right. Something don't smell right. What is her alley? What is she doing? I have the right to be able to defend myself. And Trump is now thinking about, his team is now being described as thinking about participating in this to try to understand what's going on also. Now, in this picture, before we play the video, in this picture, ladies and gentlemen, is Fani Willis, all right? Some of you may say this is not my cup of tea. Some of you say it is my cup of tea. I'll bust it down. I see it through, Anton. I don't blame you either way. All of us got preferences. We can't determine what's happening between our lives or with our lives based off of what somebody else's decision is. But I know that this black man right there very much looked like the son of the father on This Christmas with Chris Brown and all of them. This black man right here, you know, he was chasing Nicolas Cage and Gone in 60 Seconds as the cop's son. He looks just like the son of the father on This Christmas and the son of the man that was on Gone in 60 Seconds, the cop. He looks just, and I think that guy is I like that guy as an actor, but he looks like the son of that guy, I'm telling you. He do look like Jerry Rice too. That is absolutely fact, Hugo. That's a good call. That's a good call. But this man right here, Dapper Dan, and his bald head, got the beard, so he looks trustworthy because he got a mustache and a beard, and he got a good job too. 6-figure man, high value man. And Fani is being accused. Now, we can't substantiate this, and I would never want to report false information, but she's being accused, according to all major outlets, of having an improper relationship with this man, and he was married. Now, this man is going through a divorce, and this is the only reason why we finding this out now, because somebody figured something out. The wifey apparently said, you know what, I want a divorce for whatever reason. And now, as they go through evidence and they start to go through the process of finding out what he was doing all through this time. They took lavish trips as being reported. They saying that they was doing it on taxpayers' dime. That he was actually being put in position to prosecute certain cases and things that he shouldn't have been based off of this improper relationship and people getting promoted and going to certain places and going to higher heights and deeper depths. And she was busting it down for a real one. Let me ask you a question before we get into this. Before we get into Fani's response, would you risk it all? Would you listen? It's a lot of us that risk a lot of things. We take a lot of chances. We take penitentiary chances. We take chances as far as making sure that we go over to a different company from the company that we've been comfortable with for the last 10 years in order to make more money. We take chances when we have sex without rubbers in order to try to make sure that we get our off. And I just want to know, are you willing to risk it all? Because I'm not even sure that I can. This man got a raise and a promotion. At least he got something out of it. Hold on. Y'all acting like it's all just based off of whether or not you prefer her weight or not. That's not what we talking about. Let me get some lipstick right here. Some lipstick, some chapstick right here. Y'all acting like lipstick. Y'all acting like this man didn't win. Now, I know he took a calculated risk. This is an investment that he made. He didn't make it. According to news outlets of this alleged affair, he did not do this only because he seen her as, a modern woman that he'd love to just make love to. He did this because it was also an opportunity for him to get a raise and promotion and a good career jump. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do in order to get what you need. That's what they saying out here in these streets. So what? Women can sleep their way to the top, but you telling me that men can't? I would, if I'm him, if my wife come to me and say, hey, I want a divorce. If this is the reason that they getting divorced. If my wife come to me and say, hey, I want a divorce because you cheated. I'm going to say, no, I didn't. I did this for the family. Can I get a round of applause for that? No. Victim Olympics. You wrong. Victim Olympics says his wife was fit with her own long natural hair and she got mistreated. No. I'm going to be his lawyer. That's not why he did it. He did it for making sure that he could level up the whole family. Y'all don't realize that dudes do that for free every day. They just cheat just for cheat. He wasn't cheating. He was making an investment in his family's future. He did that for them. He didn't do that for him. He didn't get nothing out of that. What, you think he got something out of that? He did that for his family. You know that their kids will probably never, ever have to see a student loan in their life now? Oh, you don't like this house that we living in? You don't like these accommodations? You didn't like that new truck that you got? Where you think that money came from? Huh? I got a boss that I got to take care of. I got something that I got to do. I got things. I don't like talking about it, but since you just wanted to bring it up, then this is what we going to have to talk about. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm telling you that I did this for us. I wasn't thinking about me. I was thinking about you. I wasn't thinking about me. I was thinking about you. You so selfish. You never want to make a sacrifice for the family, and now I got to make the sacrifice for the family, and now you want to sit here and complain about it. What you gonna do? You just gonna leave like that? You gonna leave me? You gonna leave me after I did what I did for us? I had to make a strategic decision, and I knew you wouldn't agree with it, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. But you thought that I had fun? You thought that I was enjoying myself? I would prefer to be here with you. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. You're so selfish. You selfish bee. You selfish bee. All you think about is you. You never think about the family. So you just gonna leave us? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But she just give me a second, y'all. I'm about to play her response. She says she's fighting back. She fighting back. Let's get to it, y'all.
This morning, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis.
The hard-headed, flawed, imperfect servant before you.
At a Sunday church service in Atlanta.
Hey, hold on. We're going to replay this. We're going to get there. I haven't heard this explanation yet. This is what my first question is. How come when y'all get in trouble? How come when y'all get caught? Because her allegations is not just based off of an improper relationship. It's how it affects the trials that she's trying to prosecute and who she put in a position. How come the first thing that y'all do when y'all get into trouble is y'all ask the pastor to give you the pulpit in order to preach a message? What the heck is up with that? Why do y'all always go over to the church to support you? Why is that the first thing that you do, disrespecting Martin Luther King on his birthday, and go over to the church so you could preach a message? And when did they start letting prosecutors preach messages inside of the pulpit? And then you're going to lead with your flawed, humble, and flawed servant. Hold on, let me back that up. I want you ladies to hear this. I want y'all to hold her accountable.
This morning, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis.
The hard-headed, flawed, imperfect servant before you.
At a
I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be perfect. I'm a flawed, but I'm a humble servant of the Lord.
A Sunday church service in Atlanta, speaking publicly for the first time since a court filing accused her of being romantically linked to a lawyer she hired to lead the election interference case against former President Trump and 18 others. She pushed back on the criticism over her appointment of Nathan Wade, one of 3 special counsels on the case.
I appointed 3 special counsels, as is my right to do. Paid them all the same hourly rate. They only attacked one.
Willis did not mention Wade by name nor deny an alleged affair, but claimed race is behind the scrutiny of Wade's appointment and that $650,000 in legal fees Wade has been paid so far is legitimate.
Hold on. You're not going to gaslight me, ma'am. That's the thing that you're not going to gaslight. You're not going to sit here and act like. Because when they came at me this weekend and they said, oh my God, I had some of the biggest content creators and people in the world. And this just shows the love that y'all got for me, right? I had people calling me this weekend and they say, oh my God, Anton, there's rumors that you're getting divorced. Oh, okay. I'm not getting divorced. Like, I don't need no pulpit. I'm not going to give you no cryptic messages. I'm just going to tell you exactly what the truth is. Oh, no, those is all lies. They're just making it up for content. But I'm with it. Like, let's go ahead and let's get to it because it actually brings more visibility to my brand, and I needed a good scandal. This is not quite the one that I wanted because I wanted something a little bit more salacious, but I want the scandal. But unfortunately, I'm not getting the divorce. Like, I'm just going to tell you, hey, did you cheat? Nope, I didn't cheat. Sorry. I don't even know who that hoe is. That hoe is lying, and I'm going to sue the pants off of that hoe. I don't care if it take me $100,000, $250,000. I'm coming to get it because you're not going to ruin my reputation. You just be straight up with it. Like, you don't have to pick and choose, do all of this stuff. Add the context afterwards. Don't come to me talking about your flawed and humble servant. I paid him all the same amount. But how did he get to the position of being promoted in the first place? And was it a little bit of fair exchange? Did you have an affair or did you not have an affair? That is the question that we want to know. Did you have an affair or did you not have an affair? We're not going to go over here and gaslight. Did he bust it down for a real one or no? And if he did, I don't blame him because he did it for his family.
Despite critics who say both have allegedly benefited from the cash by taking lavish vacations together. In a statement, an attorney who represents Trump co-defendant Michael Roman denied race playing a role, writing, "If anybody doubts our claim that Nathan Wade is inexperienced, ask him how many RICO cases he has handled. Ask him how many felonies he has tried."
Zerol, you saw the Fani Willis. You saw that deal?
At a campaign appearance Sunday in Iowa, Trump suggested Willis's alleged relationship as a conflict of interest, disqualifying the case. But Willis claimed,
and it absolutely is. It absolutely is. You know, I think Kojak in the chat, shout out to my dog Kojak in the chat, he can actually speak to this a little bit more, is somebody that we graduated high school with. I wasn't cool with him. I don't know him in real life like that, but I am familiar with the fact that people was saying that he graduated in the same year as we graduated from the same school that we graduated from, right? And they were saying that as he was arrested for whatever it is that he was doing, that a person possibly that was prosecuting him or a judge that was on the case was also somebody that graduated from us or somebody that was involved with the case whatsoever. And they were expected to, and I believe that they did, recuse themselves from the case because they didn't want to be biased based off of whatever it was that was going to be presented from the prosecution or from the defendant's attorneys in the case itself. They didn't want any kind of issues, and they wanted to make sure that they was above board for the entirety of that situation. And so if you're going to sit here and tell me that it doesn't play a role and that this alleged improper relationship that you refuse to address doesn't play a role in it, that's an issue. That's a huge issue.
claims Trump and others have attacked her for being a black woman in power.
First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one?
Why is it when any black person's integrity is questioned? I'm just curious. I'm curious. How come when a black person's integrity is questioned, it always goes back to race? What does you have being a black woman? Because nobody questions your blackness when you was prosecuting the cases for Young Thug or when you became whatever it was, the Fulton County DA or whatever. Not one person, I have not heard one person, not one, mention race even a little bit with regard to this. We're asking you, did you have, and it's okay because it's not illegal, I'm guessing, over there in Fulton County for you to have an improper relationship, but it can influence whether or not you picked the right person or if you actually had a conversation with somebody that's not qualified for the job. That's what they're starting to question. That's what they're starting to question. It has nothing to do with you being black. It has everything to do with, did you have an affair with a man that you wasn't supposed to be with, that you then promoted into a position that wasn't possibly qualified for the job that they're doing? What does that have to do with anything? Why do we always play the race card? Do y'all know what happens when you play the race card? When you play the race card, what happens is it basically diminishes when somebody actually experiences racism. It's like the boy that cried wolf. When you play the race card, What happens is when somebody else is actually going through an issue related to being discriminated against in real life, in a real situation, it carries less weight because you already used that card when it wasn't relevant. So people are already then ignoring it or turning a blind eye or getting extra about it and saying, oh man, you know what? I bet you this is just another person that's gaslighting, because that's why we don't take it serious anymore, because everybody plays the race card when they actually should be having a conversation of whether or not they operated with integrity. Now her credibility is out the window for me, because she was better off just shutting up and being quiet and not saying anything. I don't understand why these city girl, high-powered women or men, because it's not just women, but men do it too. Why do they play the race card? Why is that the first thing that Tiffany Henyer did it? She did it. They play the race card when the question is, did this man get a promotion from busting down a real one? And if it did, I feel you. You gave him preference because he was laying it on you. But let's not act like this is not influencing whether or not somebody's life is on the line and whether or not they are being prosecuted against the way that they're supposed to be prosecuted, and that he should have never possibly been in this position in the first place. Let me play this race card play again.
Have attacked her for being a black woman in power.
First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one?
Legal filings from both sides will now have to be considered by the judge trying the Trump election interference case in Georgia, and whether Willis's alleged relationship with her special counsel appointee compromises the case.
And that's all we want to know. The only thing, listen, it's a simple question and a simple answer. If you choose not to answer the question, that's fine too. We want to know why a divorce filing was sealed and that you can't even get to it, right? All we want to know is, did you bust it down for a real one? And is that influencing what you're doing inside of office, public office? That's all we want to know. We don't want to know nothing else. All of this extra race baiting, you can keep that. Let me read a few of these super chats and then we're going to continue on with the show. Shout out to Bag for Bag in the building says, wait, ain't she married too? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know nothing about these people. We're going to find out though. I don't know. She did have a ring on her finger. Hold on. Let me pull it back up. That's a really good question. Let me pull that back up really quickly. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, she got a ring on her left finger. She do have a ring on her left finger. Or is it flipped? It might be her right finger if the picture is flipped. But it looks like she has a ring on her left finger in this picture in particular. Because I did notice that when I had initially pulled that up. Shout out to Sportsaholic Gerard says, respect to your Lions. That was a major win, boss. But the gift to the world was the Cowboys. Yes. I seen Stephen A. Smith talking about that too. He was going off. Shout out to you. Amir Taylor says AD is the next lead. Shout out to my dog, Lead Attorney. I love that. Make sure y'all subscribe to Lead Attorney's platform. It is absolutely incredible. I love the Lead. A great content creator. Been rocking with him for a long time now. AJ Wise says, I don't knock Fani for prosecuting gang activity. I don't either. But I'm assuming that didn't influence what was going on in that particular case. But in the other cases, it possibly could have, though. You know what I'm saying? Melvin J. Johnson says he's using what he got to get what he wanted, just like the ladies. And I think that his wife probably was being selfish if she divorcing him based off of that. He did that for them. He didn't do it for himself. That's a fact. D Legend says, when you bust down your boss and your lady says she's done with you, you act like DJ Khaled and ask, you sick of the marble floors? You want to cry in a Honda instead of crying in the Benz? You want to cry in a Honda instead of crying in the Benz? Yeah. Gospel Chops blog says, she didn't say she paid the same amount. She says she paid the same rate. How many hours did he bill? More than the other two? Woo! Y'all be catching stuff I don't even be paying attention to. Kofi, I'm going to have to get the lead attorney on this to pay attention to what's going on. Kofi Ansa says, all of a sudden she's a black woman. Wasn't she black when she was taking all of the... Yep, she sure was. We're not going to let people just get away with this. We got to hold them accountable all the way across the board. All right, so make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. We had an awesome live stream that is now up. I re-uploaded it for replay to make sure you guys are able to check it out because we had Stock Club. We had the very first Stock Club. We're going to basically be doing it twice a month in order to make sure that you guys are investing and allocating your resources accordingly to ensure that you make it as much money as possible. It was a great live stream. And if you are a part of the Patreon and you did not watch Stock Club, then you're doing yourself a disservice. But I heard that Rich is back at it again. Now, some of you are new to the platform. Some of you are here for the first time. Some of you have just subscribed. I appreciate you. I thank you. I wouldn't be here without you. Sponsored by T. Chanley. 30% off your first order plus a free gift. So a lot of you aren't necessarily familiar with the history of me and Rich. Me and Rich had a little bit of a tit for tat. We had a little bit of back and forth. And it all started, I believe, now this is my belief, it all started when Rich, he did a video before where he was talking about what was going on with something. I had reviewed a video that he made, right? I think it was in relation to his upcoming Prime Fund. So he's starting a new fund, which I believe is real estate related and investment related, where he's basically getting money from the people, and correct me if I'm wrong, where he's getting money from the people in order to invest, and he's basically calling it the Prime Fund, inspired by Prime, the Prime, Deion Sanders, right? I believe. Can't substantiate that, but I know it's called the Prime Fund, and he's been talking about it for a little while. And so he basically went through because he had received a bunch of backlash from the people. And so, you know me, anything financially related, this is called the Millionaire Morning Show. Richard Fain has never been on my radar as somebody that's done anything wrong or negative, and I didn't even have anything negative to say. But I did believe, I suspected that he was capping in that video, and that he said that he didn't know who Jay Morrison was because people were relating, even though Richard Fain didn't say anything negative or he hadn't done anything negative as far as him doing bad business. I think that he's probably a standard guy on the up and up. I've never seen anything that gave me a red flag about Richard Fain. Worked very hard, put out a lot of content, cranking out the content lately, a lot of content lately, even though he criticized other people about it. And so, you know, I did a little bit of a review, but I didn't have anything negative to say. I just said I think that he was capping about the idea of him not knowing who Jay Morrison was, and that it was probably bad timing considering that everybody was mad at Jay Morrison because of what happened with the Treff Fund and Boyce Watkins and so on and so forth, right? But largely, again, always gave Richard Fain props. Never had anything negative to say. He's one of the OGs on YouTube, and how he's marketed himself to be able to be visible to the people in order to get financial information, I support, right? And so I think that bothered him, if I had to guess. Because then, a while ago, EYL, Earn Your Leisure, had a conversation, and they did a live stream where they basically said, well, you know, $10 million or more, I believe, it was something like that, is what we are seeking in order to be comfortable, because we think that based off of what we've gained insight from, as far as all of the different investors that we've talked to and spoke to, this is the number based off of our life experiences that we want to hit. Now, I did a review on the video, and then Richard Fain did a review on what I said and what EYL said in order to basically debunk what we were talking about. But in that video, he was throwing shots. It wasn't objective. It was more like he had been watching our content, specifically mine. He had been watching my content for a while, and he didn't like the fact that I had bag chasers and Patreon members, and he didn't like the fact that I always wore Rolexes and I wore different colors and all of that, and I talk about my cars and stuff. And so, you know, I thought it was worth having a conversation about because, you know, he's an OG, and so why not? Because I actually challenge, and I don't believe that he's 100% genuine in the fact that he don't want to be rich and he's not leveraging his marketing skills to do some of the same things that we doing. So I called out the hypocrisy. I went through his old videos. I showed how he used his cars and his watches and Ferraris and Porsches and stuff in order to market himself in the same way that he was criticizing me and other people for. No harm, no foul. he was feeling a little bit butthurt about it. But I called my people and I said, listen, and I said it publicly on the Millionaire Morning Show. I said, listen, don't go after him. He's not a bad guy. We had a difference of opinion, and it was what it was. I'm not coming after him. I don't want him to lose his platform. I don't want people to not rock with him. I think that in general, he gives some solid advice for the basic advice, for the basic consumer. He has redundant talking points, and I think that his thumbnails is trash. I didn't say that, but I was saying basically, look, leave Rich alone. Rich is cool. He ain't did nothing to nobody. We just had a difference of philosophy. A lot of our talking points was actually the same, but we had a different way in which we felt like we wanted to approach what wealth looked like. Water out of the bridge. We went back and forth. No harm, no foul. Everything is cool. Fast forward to yesterday. I opened up my email, and somebody sent this to me in my email, right? And the name of the video is, I did not want to make this video. And in the caption of the email, I should pull that up. In the caption of the email, the person said, yep, Richard Fain is back throwing shots again. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be objective. I'm going to look at the video. I'm going to keep an open mind because I know that sometimes people want to see blood in these YouTube streets. And I'm not reacting emotionally. I just want to see what it is. I want to see what he said. That's all I want to see. And then I want to just try to figure out if that is the case, because sometimes people be capping. If that is the case, why? Why me? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Do you really want to go down this path? But let me stop. Let me stop myself. We don't know what he said. I want you guys to know, though, before I watch this video, I have not mentioned him. I don't care anything about what he got going on. I ask people to just let him do what his thing is. So if this is the case, and if I decide to respond depending on what he says, it's all warranted. Don't say I'm being a bully. Don't say I'm being a bad guy. Let's just continue. So I'm going to play the video and I'm going to see what he had to say.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel.
Get past all of this.
And for my subscribers, brokerage account for this video, that free would send me a DM on account. Let me know you. And I run across, I'm strolling through YouTube, and I run across a couple of my favorite financial YouTube channels. And of course, since they're my favorite YouTube channels, let me back that up. My favorite financial YouTube channels, I had to click. And of course, when I clicked, they were talking about building wealth. And they were talking about...
I have not seen this video, so this is the first time that I'm seeing it.
How $100,000 in savings is not what it used to be. And I tend to agree with them on that. But still, guys, 100 grand in savings is humongous amount of money, right? Because when you think about most Americans, they don't even have $1,000 in savings.
Let me first say that I appreciate you, Rich, for saying that, because I know you watching. I appreciate you, Rich, for saying that I'm one of your favorite, or me and Ian or whoever is some of your favorite financial YouTube channels. I appreciate that.
So if you have managed to get yourself to 100K in savings, that's a huge deal. No matter what these guys say on YouTube. And also I hear one of them say, you haven't reached your full financial potential in your lifetime unless you've made over $100 to $200 million.
Now, I don't know if he's talking about me, but again, we're going to get there because that's what the email said. So I'm just going to be objective. I don't have anything to react to yet. I'm listening.
I'm thinking, I don't know what planet you on, man, but $100 million, $200 million, don't you know there are 100 million adults in America that have no retirement savings? So guess what? 99.9999% of us will never reach our full financial potential. Now, for me, guys, I'm not knocking anybody on YouTube or any other platform that's trying to educate people how to build wealth. Everybody obviously has their own way of teaching folks how to build wealth. Some folks flash jewelry and watches and shows people, you know, their checking account on the screen.
Oh my God. Why don't he attack the talking points? Why does he attack the person? I don't understand that. Why are you doing this, Rich? Why are you doing this, Rich?
That's not my cup of tea, but more power to the folks that do it. If that's the way you teach your folks or help people build wealth, then knock yourself out. Y'all know my philosophy on that. I don't have to prove anything to nobody about what wealth I have. My job on YouTube is not to convince you that I'm wealthy. My job on YouTube is to provide you with information that can potentially help you get to your wealth. My channel is not about trying to convince you of anything, so I'm never going to show any receipts.
So what's wrong with showing receipts? Listen, I'm in the beginning of this video, so I'm right now, because I'm in such a good mood. The Lions won yesterday. My daughter is in a good space. She off of school today. I get an opportunity to spend some time with her. My question is this: what's wrong with showing receipts? So I show you how wealthy I am. I show you my brokerage accounts. I show you how I invest my money. I take you to my rental properties, right? I actually show my W-2s. I've gotten a lot of criticism over the last, week or so from people that obviously is not familiar with my platform, but is watching and is silent watching and is hating watching. And they'll say, I can't believe Anton went and got a job so that he can have some insurance in order to take his wife to the doctor. Well, first of all, what's wrong with having a job? Secondly, what's wrong with having a job that generates the amount of revenue that I generate? And third, you're not familiar with the fact that I've had a job a little bit shortly, probably a little over a year after I retired in 2019. I think I went and got my position in 2020 when they made me an offer. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what's wrong with me showing my receipts? Isn't that what the Black community and what community should take at large? Shouldn't we be able to justify, substantiate whether somebody is actually generating revenue, whether they're a millionaire, whether or not they are what it is that they're teaching other people? It's the reason why I show my life. It's the reason why I show my wife. It's the reason why I show my daughter. It's the reason why I show my cars. It's the reason why I show what it is that I buy. This watch is not for me to flash. This watch is showing you that I invest in assets that appreciate over a period of time while enjoying what it is that I generate as far as from a financial perspective. What's wrong with me showing my W-2 inside of the Patreon? What's wrong with me showing what my deposits are? What's wrong with me showing what it is that I spend from a business perspective? I don't understand where the problem is. And why shouldn't he have to show receipts, but y'all just automatically believe him also, which I'm not telling you shouldn't. But why shouldn't he have to qualify himself by showing his receipts also? So you telling me that I'm the bad guy because I show my receipts. And again, I didn't even say nothing wrong. I'm not saying nothing. I didn't hate on him. I'm just asking the question as we go through this. If I show my checking accounts and I show my brokerage accounts and I show my monies and I show what it is that I'm doing, and I also teach you along the way of how you can do it too, and I break it down from a C student's perspective, what's the problem with that? And why didn't he lead us in last year? Why are we still going back and forth about these same talking points? Why is he feeling some type of way about it? I have nothing negative to say. I have nothing negative to say whatsoever. I want to see the rest of the video.
Just not my cup of tea. My channel is an opinion channel.
Let me rewind that really quick.
My channel is not about trying to convince you of anything, so I'm never going to show any receipts.
Gotcha.
Just not my cup of tea. My channel is an opinion channel. My opinion over 25 years of building wealth is there are some fundamental financial principles you need to live by. Now, if you want to go out there and swing for the fence and try to hit a home run like some of these folks on YouTube are trying to teach you to do, then go ahead. But I'm telling you, the statistics say something totally different. The historical data says something totally different. And don't even let me get started on Black Americans and where we sit right now from a wealth standpoint in this country. We're at the bottom. So when I do see things on social media that I don't agree with, that doesn't mean they're not right in their own mind. But obviously, it gets me going. Now, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not trying to call nobody out. I ain't calling no names. I'm just telling you, watching some of my favorite financial YouTubers, I tell you, man, it got me going. And I said, you know something? I was trying to take a day off. I said I wasn't posting anything to YouTube on Sunday. But once I saw that, I just had to reverse on that decision and put this video out. Listen here, guys. Watch who you want to watch on YouTube. I don't care who you watch. What I'm telling you, though, is please get a realistic view of what it takes to build wealth. Anybody that's flashing all this stuff at you, anybody that's talking about these huge numbers and this is what you should aspire to, please be careful they're not trying to sell you something. Right? Please be careful they're not trying to get you to pay for a Patreon or trying to
Oh, man. Why do you want to do this, Rich? What's wrong with you, bro? What's wrong with you? What did I do to you, Rich? Huh? Is this how you want to go into the new year? We're not even halfway into the first month of the year. It's the 15th. We're not even halfway into the first month of the year, and this is what we doing?
get you to pay for some inflated, pricey course. There's a simple blueprint
I don't even sell courses
to build wealth. It starts with your income. If you're not making enough income, you need to increase your skills so that you can add more value to the marketplace and make more income. Once you're making income, then it comes down to what you do with that income, right? You cannot take that income and spend it to make someone else wealthy, right? You have to keep that income invested in assets that make you wealthy. And another thing, stop listening to these guys on YouTube about what you should be doing with your business as it relates to what you should be writing off. You should write off everything. Listen, man, go get.
Oh my gosh. EYL and Ian does what? They got a course? I'm not familiar with it. I talked to Ian. I spoke with Ian. Actually, me and Ian is we working on something specifically exclusive to the Patreon members. So shout out to the bag chasers. We approaching over 5,000 bag chasers as of right now. I have the biggest Patreon in Patreon. Patreon reached out to me and said, "Oh my God, we thank you. How can we make the platform even better?" And I gave them some suggestions that I want things to be structured a little bit differently. So I spoke to Ian Dunlap. Shout out to Ian. That's my guy. We talk back and forth. We actually gonna be doing a pod together very, very soon. Talking about certain things from a financial perspective that we're gonna release exclusively just for the Patreon members specifically. But I'm not familiar with any course that Ian sells. I don't sell any courses. I've never sold a course in my entire life. I'm not familiar with Ian with EYL. I don't know if they ever sold a course before, but this is just I don't know how to describe it, guys. Because if I punch back, listen, I don't know if y'all know, but last year when this thing popped off, I had several in the chamber. I ain't even gonna cap. Like, I had a lot in the chamber. Like, I had done some research, I had done some deep diving, and I was gonna really. I wasn't gonna do it, but I always want to be prepared because you want to drop that hammer. You might want to drop that ether, that thing that make your spirit burn slow. Is he Dame Diddy, Dame Daddy, or Dame Dummy? Or I get it. Or you Biggie and he Puffy. Rockefeller died of AIDS. That was the end of his chapter. And that's the dude y'all chose to name your company after. Get it together. I rock dude. I rock hoes. Y'all rock fellas. And now y'all want to take my spot, fellas. Philly's hot rock. I had that ether, that make it burn slow, that Nas. So I'm fully prepared to go 200 rounds. I'm fully prepared to go 200 rounds. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't see any value in it. It doesn't help anybody. I'm not trying to remove you. I'm not trying to turn you into a nothing, into a nobody. I don't want to take all your subscribers. I don't want to take your people that watch you. I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm on. So, I fully expected for this to be something different. I expected for him to do his own thing this year. Or let me revise that. I expected for, even if he was to react to something, to react to what we were saying and give your perspective of how you disagree with it. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the beef too, because I'm a content creator. So anybody can say anything that they want. Just don't be mad when I come back and say what it is that I say about you, right? So I'm cool with that. But when it starts to become personal is when I start to then look at you differently and I start to evaluate my options. When it starts to become personal, when you start to attack the methods or the person itself and not necessarily the talking points of whether you agree or disagree, then I start looking at you differently. But you know what I decided after watching? Well, let me watch the rest of the video before I make my decision.
Get you a certified public accountant, a good CPA, and they will take you down the right path as you build your business, you increase your revenue, you have your expenses. Please do yourself a favor. Go get you a good CPA. Do not take advice from these guys on YouTube about anything to dealing with the I to the R to the S.
No, I think you need to take advice from these guys on YouTube that know what they're talking about, and get a CPA. One of the things that I'm an advocate for, and I say this all the time, I say, hey, make sure you check with your accountant and your CPA. And I've even done, if anybody is familiar with my Patreon, I've had Pocket Watching with JT come onto my platform and answer questions one-on-one in a live stream with anybody that had a question for free. I advocated for people to come onto the platform and ask. The video is still up in the Patreon if you guys want to go back and watch it. So he answered questions. And what I say is I speak from a general perspective about what I do. And I say that this is what my experience is. And I also advocate for you to do two things. Also get in touch with an accountant and a CPA, but also get a tax strategist. A tax strategist is much different than a CPA. And this is why you guys need to talk to people that actually have built several different businesses successfully, because it's more to it than just that. Also, what I advocate for, and this is one of the reasons why I also say that this is my experience and my perspective, I advocate for people to also fully understand and not just become overly reliant on a tax accountant or a CPA, because just because they give you some advice, or just because they do your taxes, or just because they take you down this path, does not mean that you should not understand what they're doing, because they can miss some stuff. They human just like you, and they can defraud you. One of the things that I've learned from so many different people, even publicly, Steve Harvey himself said that his accountant, his CPA, did not file his taxes. It did not absolve him from the penalties and the possible implications that came along with whatever it was that he was responsible for. So just because you have one does not mean that they're working in your best interest. Fat Joe went to jail, and he said it is because of something that happened with his CPA. We've heard countless stories of people that did not or was not able to keep a watchful eye over the people that were handling their money. So just because you have one does not mean that you yourself should not also be informed. So when we talk about it, we're not just talking about it from the perspective of this is what you should do. We're talking about it as it relates to what you should explore with regard to facts. We read the laws. We go and see, hey, if you get a vehicle that's over 6,000 pounds, you can legally write this off. But make sure you also go and talk to your CP as a result of it. If you have a business and you're going to do this in particular, and if it relates to the business, you can write off 100% of that depending on what it is, and make sure you go and talk to your CPA as a result of it. Make sure you talk to your tax strategist in order to be able to plan for next year, because the CPA may not necessarily be planning for how you should spend your money, but they are accounting and bookkeeping accordingly according to the laws of the IRS. So you should listen to multiple different sources of people that have built businesses, because there is good tax advice that also comes along with it, or they may alert you to something that you weren't familiar with that you can then go and ask the tax professionals as a result of it. But to just say in a general sense, no, go and get a CPA, that's not enough. That's not enough. You should also have a tax strategist when you grow into that space. You should also have a basic understanding of what tax law is and what your write-offs could be and what you should do, because it allows for you to be able to plan how you can spend your money in order to invest and grow your business more effectively. And then legally not have to pay as many taxes over into the federal government. If I give you some tax advice on a very basic level, if I say, hey, listen, guys, the difference between a 401k and a Roth 401k is a 401k it's pre-tax, meaning that whatever it is that you invest inside of your 401k, it comes out of your paycheck, right? Or it comes out of your gross, and it reduces the burden that you have to pay over into the IRS. Yeah, you can go and confirm that with a CPA, but that's basic knowledge. I should be able to talk about that with you guys while also saying, hey, and make sure that you talk with your accountant also. That is basic knowledge. Your human resource department will tell you that. You don't have to talk to a CPA in order to get that insight. If I say, okay, but conversely, a Roth 401k is post-tax, but then it grows tax-free to where you never have to pay taxes on that again. That is basic knowledge. You shouldn't have to talk to an accountant in order to make sure that you can substantiate that. There are some conversations that we should have that should spark some ideas that inspire you to go and talk to your HR representative in order to make sure that you're getting the max amount, you know what I'm saying, going into your whatever, right? If I tell you, hey, don't max out too early, because then you'll miss out on the match that your company gets once you reach that threshold if it's before your final paycheck, that's basic knowledge. That's something that a lot of people are not familiar with, but that you should, and you don't have to get a CPA. You can go and talk to your HR to find out if that is true, right? And so, yes, you can go and get a CPA, and you should, especially if you have a more complicated business. Absolutely, you should also talk to a tax strategist that a lot of people is not even familiar with. But we should also be having financial conversations, right, in order to make sure that you guys are doing the thing that's in your own best interest, even at a basic level. So,
those people do not play. They do not play. It don't catch up to you till it catch up to you. Go get you a good CPA and talk with that person and have a strategy around your business and your revenue and your expenses, right? From a real CPA, not a YouTube CPA. Do not take advice from these YouTube CPAs. go get you a real CPA. That's just a little pro tip. Once you are making enough money, you learn how to keep that money, then you got to multiply it. And that's how you get wealthy, guys. That's how you build assets. That's how you get to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? That's the methodology that I use, and that's the methodology that I teach on my channel. Again, guys, many channels out there. You go watch whoever you want to watch. You take whatever advice you want to take. But I'm just telling you, from my opinion, be careful. Be careful who you let speak into your life. Be careful whose advice you take. Remember, Fed is going to be meeting at the end of the month.
I have nothing negative to say about Richard Fain. I'm taking a high road here. I have not one negative thing to say at all whatsoever. If you guys want to go on to Patreon and actually watch the live stream that I did with Pocket Watch with JT where he answered all of your questions, if you want me to get him back on the platform because he actually offered to, because he said that he's seen so much progress and so many people actually hired him and did work with him afterwards as a result of him doing a live stream inside of the Patreon, you guys are more than welcome to go back and watch that video. It's still up. All of my previous videos is up, including the Stock Club video that we just did over the weekend. But I have nothing negative to say about Richard Fain whatsoever. Not at all. Will I ever react to any of his videos in the future? Possibly. Absolutely. If he says something that I think that is meaningful to my audience, or if he says something that I don't agree with, I will react to a video financially that he says if I think that it moves the needle, or if it's something that I feel like I need to bring to the front of the congregation as far as the talking points. The talking points itself. That's it. I have nothing bad to say whatsoever. I'm not going to tell you not to go in, do this, or you shouldn't invest in this. If you rock with Rich, it does not stop you from being able to rock with me. Or if he can pour value into your life, then sure, maybe he's better suited to speak to you to where you are in your financial journey. And then maybe you can come back to me, or maybe you find somebody else better, or you graduate from him, or you move on from me, or whatever, right? I think that people, at the very least, should always understand where it comes back to the money, become financially literate, and start to move with a mindset to do things that are in their best interest, because it's always better to be successful, right? Rich, I wish you the best. God bless you. I hope you have an awesome, prosperous, phenomenal 2024, and I hope that everything works out in your favor as far as the different goals that you plan on achieving. I have nothing negative to say whatsoever. God bless you. God bless every one of your subscribers and the people that rock with you. I want you to do incredibly well. What you do is not going to affect anything that I have going on. And so I bless you. God bless you. I hope everything goes well for you. Let me know if you need anything. So that's my response. I have nothing negative to say whatsoever, man. Real talk. And if, he says something, that, or if he does a video that I think is relative to what we doing over here, then I'll react to the video itself and the talking points, but I'm not going to attack Richard Fain himself. That's last year's work. We left that. It's no point in digging that up. It just is what it is. So God bless him. I hope that he does well. I have nothing negative to say, especially for somebody that's actually adding value into people's life. I may not necessarily care for some of the things that he does. I may not necessarily care for some of the slick talking points. But if he's progressing and if he's leaving this earth in a better space had he not been here, as far as inspiring people, or at the very least giving people some kind of insight on why they should do things better for themselves financially, I'm never going to tear that down. So God bless you, Rich. I hope that everything works out for you and that you do really, really well. I have nothing negative to say. Let me read some of the super chats and then we're going to go on from there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. JP says, AD, here's your flowers on your own. You almost at 500,000. Saw you on the Peep. Them views are below anemic right now. Keep being great. And shout out to Lapeep. I hope that they do well. God bless them. God bless them. I hope that they do phenomenal. SS29 said Condé Nast listed Detroit as the best place to visit in 2000. It's a phenomenal city. People really sleeping on it, but it's a phenomenal city. Shout out to your mayor, police, business for great leadership. Yeah, we doing some great things over here. We all about positive energy, baby. Life of Scony says, no matter what, Rich says, remember, Anton, we don't beef. We just get the bags. Don't pipe up, Mr. Fain. We love Rich. God bless him. As long as he adds value into this world, I have nothing negative to say about him. Optimus Prime says, so because Anton is transparent, that's a bad thing? I guess some people was bothered by that. Wealth Building Journey says, so all those videos about the dream house aren't receipts, Richard? Nor are the fancy cars or the walkthroughs of the gated communities? Come on, man. We ain't tripping off that. We want people to win. I love it when I see people that are that's doing it legally, that didn't have to take no shortcuts, is winning in life. I want him to get more cars. I want him to live a great life. I want him to live phenomenally. I want him to be successful. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not doing anything illegally, so I don't have anything negative to say about him. God bless Rich. God bless you, Richard. Mr. Lone Star says, hearing Richard talk, this isn't even worth responding because he sounds bitter, because he's not in the algorithm. He's bitter. He's a bitter black man. No, we're not going to say that. We're going to pray blessings on him. Me University says, you no mustache having. Come on, y'all. If I'm taking a high road, I need y'all to take it too. The Solution Trucking Channel says, get a CPA even if you make less than $100,000. Yeah, you can get a CPA. There's nothing wrong with that. Easy Money says, you're not flexing, but to them you are. But to them you are, my friend. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep, I rock with that. Tangeray 10 Gin and Tonic says, I have my money on Fain. He's a Florida Gator, and Tom Dog is a Detroit rat snake who drinks dog water and sells snake oil. Thank you for the 20 ball. I appreciate you, my friend. We absolutely gonna add that into the pot, and we're gonna spend that accordingly. We might throw that on some strippers on the weekend. The Solution Trucking says, shout out to By His Grace Dispatching for showing love to my channel. Also, thank you, AD, for the shout out. Shout out to Solution Trucking. Make sure y'all go check that out. Dan Stan Yoga says, Rich is a hypocrite and he's a lame, not for the child. No, he's not lame. I don't think that he's lame. I think that he's cool. Sister, what up? Says Mr. AD. What I understand, and overstand is that you, the Patreon, and the Discord have enriched me financially. This is not a donation. She said that we add value into her life, and she just throwing that into the collection plate. Shout out to Sister. I appreciate you. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Again, we have no ill will, no smoke whatsoever, no energy for it, none of that. We rock with them. If y'all like it, I love it, and I think that you can grab things from both, regardless of whether or not you like his personality or you like my personality. Get the meat, spit out the bones, and let's keep it moving. Y'all ready to go over to the next part of the show? Get into the money. Shout out to Will, the CNA, says, last night's show was informative. Thanks. Are you talking about the Patreon exclusive? Yeah, we running it up. We going to keep running it up. Shout out to Will, the CNA. I appreciate you, big dog. All right, let's continue to rock out. Last part of the show, I always like to end this on a great note, making sure that we have a conversation about the money. There was a video that was released on CNBC that was talking about how private loans are booming right now. I have not watched the video. I want to review it with you guys. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Get into that Teach Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. And this is really talking about the rise of private credit. Let's see if we can get some gems out of this, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I get alternative asset classes for $500?
This asset class has grown from $250 billion in 2010 to around $1.5 trillion today.
I'm going to go with, what is private equity?
Wrong. Correct answer is private credit.
What private credit is, just in its simplest form, is private loans to privately owned companies, privately owned real estate, and privately owned infrastructure.
Private credit is growing not just because rates are higher and therefore investors want more of it.
What's interesting about private credit is the money is not funded with bank deposits and leverage from the interbank market. It instead comes from pension funds, endowments and foundations, insurance companies, retail investors, sovereign wealth investors. So it is loans from a source other than deposits, usually to privately held businesses.
So let me break this down from a person that intimately understands banking, because I've been in the banking industry for a long time, and not just from like as a private banker, but I've been in the banking industry from a user experience perspective. User experience, we need to understand everything from a technological perspective, so that we can design products that's designed to create the best experience for you guys, right? So, for example, what I do is, well, I'm not going to go into what I do because I don't want to make this a long segment, but a lot of people like to use the saying, use other people's money in order to make investments. And that's not a bad thing if you actually have a higher tolerance for risk and you actually understand what you're doing. But the other side of it is you need to understand why the banking industry continues to market to you to use other people's money, and then you are the one that carries that message over into the general public. The reason that they do that is because they profit off of loaning you money so that they can make money back on the interest. So when you put your money in savings, right, you'll say, oh, I got a high yield savings account. Or you keep the majority of your money in a checking account, right? Your money is not working for you, it's working for the bank, because based off the amount of deposits that they have, they then can loan out a certain amount of money based off of what they have in deposits that allow for you to then pay them back in interest, whether it's a 30-year mortgage, 15-year mortgage, a credit card, a car loan, all of that, right? Credit unions, banks, they're all the same. Their goal is to make money off of you in two ways: fees and interest. That is the main way that banks make money. Fees and interest, right? Now, what this is basically saying is, now there's a market that is really, really bubbling over because they don't want the banks to just make all of the money. They're saying, look, private money loans. Why should we let them make all of the money as far as making sure that they continue to loan you out money and you paying back in interest? Why can't we use our own money to loan out to you to make sure that you're paying us interest? And often at times what's included in this is private money loans often carry a much higher interest rate than whatever the standard rates are within the banking industry at that particular time. Going so far as to say, even if you compare private loans, private student loans, to the traditional vehicles that you would get a student loan is, the private student loans never really had a moratorium. They never had a pause. You still had to pay that. You were still getting charged interest on the private student loans because it was completely unregulated and much different than what it is that you accepted for your FAFSA. The only thing that was subjected to forgiveness, and the only thing that was subjected to the possibility of forgiveness, or even putting a pause on student loans and the interest that came along with it, was the ones that was ultimately not a private student loan. But the private loans, absolutely, you still had to pay that. And so basically there's another industry based off of consumer spending habits. What do you think a hard money loan is? When people go through and they talk about flipping properties, they talk about investing in real estate, hard money loans, that's loans at a much higher interest rate based off of the fact that you need to use the money quicker and you got to pay back the private investor or the private loans much faster, or else you're going to get charged a whole lot of interest on the top of it. What you're basically doing is taking a gamble that, okay, I can get this done quicker, I can get a return on my money faster, so I just need to use your capital to do it because I don't have enough capital and I'm not as liquid on my own in order to be able to fund this. And so people pay high interest on these loans that then, allow for them to make money. You hopefully make money because you're the one that's taking all of the risk. You still gonna have to pay the interest on that loan. If you wind up being upside down, then you just gonna go bust. So a lot of these people will tell you, hey, do this, do that, take this private money out, use it for this, use other people's money, but you're taking less of a calculated risk and more of a gamble when you do that. And so this is a completely different industry that's upending what consumers are using money for, because money is much more expensive to borrow now.
The rush into private credit is not without risk.
Yep.
In fact,
you're absolutely right. It's just like a payday advance, just like it. And they charge Bill, if you look at the payday advance interest rates over a period of time, it could exceed over 600%. It could exceed over 600% in interest that you've paid and fees that you pay back to the payday loan companies.
UBS's chairman called private credit an asset bubble that could set off the next financial crisis. So what is private credit? Why is it taking away business from banks? And what's next for this alternative asset class?
I think the best way to explain what private credit is to first start with what it isn't. What it isn't is a company going to a local bank and asking for a loan, a deposit-taking bank. It is not a corporation looking to raise additional capital, going out to the market to borrow from a group of investors. That's called syndicated lending, and it's typically done by traditional big banks. What private credit is it's basically a one-to-one relationship where a company, maybe they're not able to get a loan from a more traditional financing institution, and therefore they go to one private credit fund and they say, I need a certain amount of money, and that fund figures out what terms they want to lend at, and boom, they get the money.
It's like the mob. It's literally it's like the mob. They have their own criteria. You got to go through your own verification as far as whatever the standards are, right? They're not subjected to the traditional ways and the regulations, because they can determine up to a certain amount exactly how much they want to charge you in interest. It's like you going to the mob, except for that maybe they won't break your legs. That's it. They can ask you to put up collateral. They can ask you to verify it and send additional paperwork. They can ask you for a cosigner. They can ask for somebody else to join in on the loan in order to be able to secure it or whatever. But all of it is just like the mafia. It's like the mob, but different, because it's legal.
But who's able to cash in on these private credit funds? Similar to the private equity markets, institutional investors are generally the only ones able to put money into private credit. You won't find Ares Private Credit Fund on Robinhood just yet. These are very illiquid investments, meaning you won't have access to invested money if a rainy day emerges. But the returns are growing as interest rates have risen. This isn't something that's a new phenomenon by any means. But how exactly did the private credit market grow to what it is now?
We had a banking crisis in this country. The Fed, not Treasury, the Fed drove interest rates to zero, resulted in banks, insurance companies, endowments, and foundations, the list goes on, all competing for the same small number of assets that had any yield. So this created an environment, this created conditions where alternative investments could flourish because of the additional yield that could be delivered.
So who do you think, and this is the question that I want to ask you guys, because I know that everybody always asks the question about, hey, how can I build my credit? Credit is more important in most consumers' minds than investors. It is. Who do you think is the commodity? Who do you think is the asset for these institutions, whether it be a traditional bank, private lenders, or whatever? It's you. You're the commodity. You are the asset. You are the most coveted piece, because they're counting on you to continue your consumer spending, which then will drive the profits, because it will cost for you to work harder, not so you can accumulate a higher net worth, but so you can accumulate more stuff and gamble, and that you can make more money in order to impress people that don't even care about you. It's to getting a bigger house when you don't necessarily need a bigger house. And then being able to justify it in your mind, well, okay, this is what I'm going to do. It's the whole narrative of starting a business with other people's money when you don't even really understand the true risks involved in it. It's jumping into something. When y'all was doing all of that Navy Federal BS, and y'all was going into that, and they were saying, hey, man, you can get all of this, and you can get this amount of credit. But for what? What are you getting it for? What are you getting these large lines of credit for? What is the point? So you can go more into consumer debt? So you can go and get a car that you can't afford? What do you need an additional credit line for a credit card? I'm just asking. Because if you're not actually using it for business purposes, if you're not using a credit card to travel back and forth, you, the consumer, you are the most coveted of them. They want you to live longer. as long as you're producing. They want you to work harder as long as you're producing. Producing what? Interest that you're paying on whatever it is that they're lending you in order to continue to become a part of the system instead of breaking out of it and getting out of the matrix.
Become just this very popular place for investors to put their money as well as borrowers to seek out that money. Now, it should also be said that it's become much more lucrative in a higher interest rate environment because this interest is floating rate. Floating rate means it's adjusted as interest rates are adjusted, and so it kind of changes over time. What that means is there's the potential for a borrower to be more stretched. If they're used to paying a certain level of interest, then interest rates go up, they will be paying more.
The majority of these terms deal with one-to-one relationships called direct lending. Direct lending is the most popular, but one of many types of private money transfers available to businesses within the private credit bucket. We could break off the others into their own video, but briefly, they include mezzanine debt, distressed debt, and special situations. JP Morgan's private bank arm projects direct lending's performance against peers will likely continue, but just how well is this industry performing? Cliffwater's direct lending index senior-only notes from 2012 to 2022, there was an average 9.34% annual return on investment, and 2023's returns looks poised to surpass the 10-year average. Retrenchment is a term in the financial world that describes when businesses significantly scale back or outright cut their activities in a certain venture. After the 2008 financial crisis, the biggest of the big banks began to pull back on lending to companies and individuals, even with interest rates hitting rock bottom and staying there for years. Those individuals and companies began to look elsewhere for loans.
So this is a phenomenon that started in earnest after the financial crisis. They retrenched from some of the riskier areas of lending. As a result of that, private credit, therefore, kind of grew up against the shadow of the big banks that maybe weren't making as many loans as they had previously.
It's counterintuitive, but all of the incremental disclosure requirements and cost of capital issues that we burdened our banks with in terms of the amount of equity they have to retain has essentially driven banks to focus on two things: rated assets and anything with a perception of liquidity.
Congress passed a series of regulations after the 2008 financial crisis, namely Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Protection Act and the big bank bailouts that created the Troubled Asset Relief Program, known commonly as TARP.
Because of some of the regulations that are out there, Dodd-Frank namely, it's caused traditional banks to really take a step back and not lend as much as they may have otherwise done, and private credit has kind of stepped in to fill that void.
At much higher interest rates often at times also, because one of the things that they require from the federal government is that they get more control on their subprime lending, basically lending to people who don't really qualify, but then have to pay more money, so then they really don't qualify for whatever it is that they're getting a loan for, right? So you're not paying as high in interest, but at the same time, you got to go through more steps in order to qualify. Got to have a longer job history. You got to prove your actual earnings, your debt to income ratio. They put stricter requirements. You got to have a higher credit score, which basically means that you had to have a lower utilization rate, which less debt. So you had to do more to be able to qualify, which then opened the doors for private lending because there was still a market of people that was looking to get loans and looking to participate in the industry. And they were willing to pay for the interest rates that was largely different than what it was that they was getting tightened up on the banks, because the banks had messed up in the 2007-2008 recession, right? And so I think that the biggest lesson, it's a couple different lessons that you want to take out of this. The first lesson is there's always going to be a market for something as long as the consumers exist. Your job as a business owner, your job as an investor is to figure out where you can actually fill that void, where the opportunities lie, and then that's when you start to make a whole lot of money, similar to whatever it is that these private credit funds are doing. The second thing is that in everything that you do, there's a calculated risk involved, and you got to understand the difference in how much you're actually giving away in monies in order to participate in this industry versus keeping in your pocket in order to make a more informed decision as to how you can raise your net worth. So if you decide that, hey, I want to buy more house than I can afford, just because I'm justifying my purchase by saying, well, it's better than renting, how much more money are you giving away in interest over into the bank versus keeping aside of your pocket, understanding that, hey, this is just an investment vehicle and I needed a shelter over my head. It's going to appreciate over time, but I don't have to raise it all the way up into the liquid money that I have available just because I can afford the payment. Maybe I can get a smaller house than I can afford. I could finance it for a less amount of time, maybe a 10-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage, and then I can spend the rest of the monies that I have not pouring it into this house, because the first of a 30-year mortgage, the first time of your mortgage, first of all, if you get a shorter term, if you get a 15 versus a 30, you get a better interest rate. That's number one. Number two, the less money that you have to spend, because you wind up paying more than double of whatever it is that you purchased the house for when you get a 30-year mortgage, the more money you then have to allocate over into your investments, the quicker you can pay it off, right? And so what people have to do is stop being consumers and justifying it with bad decisions and bad perspectives, but instead pour more money into your assets. And then, well, first you need to pay off debt. First, you need to pay off all consumer debt, because the more rocks you have inside of your backpack, the more difficult it is to climb Mount Everest. You can't get to the top of the mountain by having a bunch of rocks in your backpack. You're going to wind up falling down the mountain. You got to get rid of the debt. It's the enemy of wealth, especially consumer debt. The second thing that you want to do is you want to basically dollar cost average, and you want to automate your investment strategy in order to continue to build wealth, which then compounds over a period of time instead of giving it over into the banks. Eventually, you want to become the bank. Now, you may not necessarily do that in your lifetime, but you can do it on the behalf of somebody else, or your daughter or your son that's coming after you. All right? You do not want to die in debt, broke, with a negative net worth. You absolutely want to make more informed decisions, and you also want to take calculated risks, not gambling. All right? So, yeah, man, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let me read this last super chat, and then we're going to get out of here. This has been a great show. We're going to keep it above board. We're going to absolutely be above the BS unless it qualifies for us to do so. But I can't see it. Not right now, I can't see it. David Williams says, can you make a top 5 list of the most informative Patreon videos? Example, interview like a king, which video you do? Yeah, I could do it. But a lot of it is going to depend on where you are in your life. I will make a list for you guys. Maybe I'll try to get it out for you tomorrow. But I'll make a list for you guys. In the meantime, you need to watch the video from that live stream yesterday, because it was very, very informative, and there was a lot of information inside of it. And you guys need to make sure that you're running it up and you're making the proper investments, but not just making the proper investments. With that comes understanding. You need to understand what you're investing in just as much as you need to throw your money into something. Don't just throw your money into something without understanding what you're doing. Become an informed investor. In a similar way that we tell y'all to become an informed voter. It's not enough to just go out and vote. You also need to know what you're voting for, why you're voting for it, and then why it's important for you to participate in the thing that's in your own best interest, not just even from a national perspective, but from a local perspective. It's important. Listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, get that Teach Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. We appreciate you, Teach, for continuing to support the platform. Thank you. Make sure that you share this with your family and friends. We got the Q show tonight. That's going to be lit at 10 o'clock Eastern. And we running it up. Listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for rocking out. Chances are we probably going to be back in the studio. It's cold outside. And let's run it up. Listen, I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. You are the greatest audience on earth. And shout out to Richard Fain. We love you too, big dog. Y'all have a good one. Peace.